website, the official website of the president, so 10 February 2025, the Oral Committee, which was chaired by Samuel Kujoto Blakwa, did present some document to President Mahama. You see the beautiful pictures there. In there, you see lawyer Martin Pebu, you see the current Yoko Bosch Romonacha, you see Dominic Domelevo, and also the former COP, that is the Commissioner of Police retired Kofi Boache. Now, David, as at that time, the cases they submitted to the president were 36 cases. And when they did the estimated valuation, meaning that when they able to recover these monies from these 36 cases, was $20.4 billion. $20.4 billion. Wow. That was the estimated value. Now, David, let me just quickly add that when you read from the Transparency International and other civil society organizations, Ghana loses close to $9 billion in corruption annually. So it tells you that this is humongous, especially at the time where we were told that the economy was crumbling and we needed just $3 billion to be able to show up the economy.
And you're talking about going to the IMF. That's
yes.
What you mean by that.
Yes.
And yet we can waste through corruption these sums of money.
Yes. So this is the brief overview. Now, also, the reason why this conversation is important is that when you look at the 120-day promise of the NDC, one of the things they wanted to do was the corruption case. And David, in fact, they listed the plethora of them. They listed the Pualugu Dam, the mathematical set, the ambulance scandal, the National Cathedral issues, and many of you. Now, David, what I've been able to pick is not just the full thing. It's just some few things that I've been able to pick on some of these cases because people need to speak to you confidently. For example, if Napo didn't grant that interview, we didn't know he was under investigation on the mathematical set issues. So these are some of the issues that you want to.
We also know about the OSP and the Kenoferata issues that's long going. Also on the National Cathedral, the ambulances and co.
Yes. So let me give you some of the cases. I'm giving you about 10 of them. What I can reliably communicate to you is that the security apparatus of the country is investigating the former education minister, Napo, when it comes to the CAPEC, KAPEK mathematical set and calculator deal. And that deal cost the country about 80 million cedis. 80 million cedis. So that is the deal they are being investigated. If you remember, at a point in time, we were told that some students of the free SHS were going to be given mathematical set. We were allegedly told one of the mathematical sets 70 Ghana cedis. David, nowhere in the world is mathematical set sold for 90 Ghana cedis. We were told it has other additional functionalities. In fact, the first people to raise this issue was in 2021. The Africa Education was in February 2015. If you want to read extensively because of time on the topic,
your very good friend Kofi Asare.
Kofi Asare, yes. When you just Google Africa Education mathematical set 80 million, it will come up. And David, you see how reckless we are when it comes to expenditure. So that's one case. I can also reliably tell you that the Attorney General, together with the OSP, are investigating 5 cases in relation to Ken Oforiatta, as you know. That is the SML deal, where the Strategic Mobilization Limited, where we are told the GRA claims they cannot foolproof know how much the downstream or the petroleum sector, the extractives, how the people generate and the taxes that they give us. So they needed the company to check. It's basically like what they did with the Kelny GV when it comes to the telcos, that they don't know how much MTN makes. So they need somebody to be a third eye for them. Now, SML, according to Manas Azuri, do not have any capabilities when it comes to that sector. They've been paid over 1 billion cedis. That investigation by Manas Azuri, then with the 4th estate, is no longer there, occasioned the president to do a KPMG audit and suspended the deal. As we speak, the deal is suspended. So if there was no, as they say, prima facie basis for the suspension, I don't think after the KPMG report, the president would have done so. So that's some good work by Manasseh. Now, 2, another issue is with ECG and some contract they signed with a China company, which is Beijing, something, I've forgotten the name. So that's another thing. Then also the National Cathedral, where $58 million was used as a seed capital. Then the ambulance scandal, that is 34.9 million allegedly for some spare parts, which has some linkage with one of the daughters of the president. Then the last one is the tax incentive, how that was used. So I've given you 6 cases, 5 in relation to Kenoferia time loan, Napo, the other one. Now we are also, the government is also investigating the former director of the National Signals Bureau, Edubuahene, on some monies and some properties he acquired during this period, and especially where he created account names that mimics the name of the national account and use his private account to solicit some money. Now, David, the brief case is that we also were going to buy a certain software, and the gentleman claimed a certain amount. When the Attorney General tracked it, we paid just about 40% for the software, so the 60% was like his profit. We were also told, and when you read the witness statement from the court cases so far, where his PAs are giving credences to the fact that they were cashing huge sums of money, they were cashing checks, they had to go to banks to a certain teller, specific teller, to be able to give them the money and all that. So that case is also ongoing. Now, another case we also know is on Galamsey, where Chairman Untumi is also allegedly being charged for Galamsey activities and other investigations. Now, we don't know what the other investigation is because, as we are told by the Deputy Attorney General, Dr. Justice Shamsai, it has correlation of organized crime. So together with other international security agencies, they are working on that leg. Now, another case I can report for you is the GIF, Ghana Infrastructure Investment Fund. Now, if you remember or you recall, Joe Gatti, the former Attorney General who became the Railways Minister, said they went to South Africa. And one of the things they wanted to do was to reduce the traffic in town. Some way, somehow, they brilliantly thought that they should do sky train. They should put the train upwards or not on the ground. Now, why did they arrive at that? When you watch his interview with Evans Mensah somewhere in January 2021, he said that when the proposals came, there were three. That they wanted to do Greater Kumasi and also Greater Accra. Now, they will do the sky train or the train from Accra Central to somewhere Kaswa. Now, the suggestion was that they would take one lane and put the tracks there, then the train will pass on. Then he said that because of compensation issues, alarm system and all that, that would be too much of a cost. So the engineers and whatever decided that they should build stencils or poles. Let me just so that you understand. They will big poles. The train will be on it. The train that's what they wanted to do. Now, David, the company that was championing that idea got incorporated in Mauritius through a special purpose vehicle, SPV. Now, during the 2021 Auditor General report, that was when we found that government has invested $2 million in that SPV. Now, why the government do that? They did that because they wanted to buy or to have a stake in the company, so that when the company is operational through a PPP, government will get some dividend for the state. Now, when they did the incorporation in Mauritius, years on, there was no certificate that shows that Ghana has indeed given $2 million for that activity, and there was nothing to show proof of. The Attorney General told the board then to go after the company and retrieve that certificate. Now, the interview I referenced with Evans Mensah, Jogata says that the company didn't come back to do the project because of COVID-19. They couldn't raise their money. So, $2 million. As we speak, there are two people who have officially been charged for that incident. That is Professor Meya Konfi, who was the board chair for GIF, and also the CEO. The CEO, David, was given a bail condition. He took him almost 2 weeks or 3 weeks to meet the bail condition. He was still in police custody. Professor Meya Konfi, as you know, was very unwell. He was even at a point rushed to the UGMC during the processes of court. His plea was taken. He pleaded not guilty. The CEO, Solomon Asante, or Asamoah, I've forgotten, I think Asamoah, has also pleaded not guilty. But the two of them are on bail as we speak. So these are at least about 10 of the cases that I'm familiar with so far.
When it comes to land retrievals, where are we?
So there's a petition, there's a private member's bill that may metamorphose into a government bill being led by Samuel Okudzeto Blakwa, which will explicitly bar appointees from purchasing a state asset, not just land, state asset. I'm also been told that there's been a commission that has been formed with the likes of Reverend Lawrence Tete, doctor, to be able to also guide some of these communications when it comes to that. Yeah.
So generally, how will you sum it all up? The NDC's intention to fight corruption through oral and retrieve, monies and landed properties that people have purchased wrongfully. Well, are you satisfied with the pace? That's the crux of the conversation.
Well, David, criminal procedures take time. I mean, we've seen the NDC appointees who were accused. Agongo is still working free. Opuni. So it takes time. And when you have a good defense lawyer, they can do the adjournment, 8 years your party come and they finally prosecute, just like the NDC did for the likes of the Caribbean Bank of Ghana boss, the Siama and the likes and all that. That is why I like Ato Forson. He went to the president and said, acquit and discharge me. You see, that's the fear. My only fear is that if you're not careful and the case is dragged, and the future PP government will come, fire and only prosecute of no interest and the case will discontinue. But if you're able to fast track, that's why Kofor's fast track court came, that was the idea. We need to set timelines. And in fact, when you listen to Justice Dennis Ajay, he said it. When it comes to some criminal procedures, we need to set timelines. David, the 2013 election petition, we started in December. The verdict was given, I think, on the 29th of August 2013. Almost 9 months. But in the next election petition, we scheduled 21 days. So we can set timeline for some of these cases. Say 3 months. Let's be able to sit and decide on the issue. So that's my only fear. But so far, I think that I also like how the Attorney General updates us. But I think that sometimes the details, there's too much information. And I left one case, the National Service Scandal. For those who don't know, let me just explain. The National Service Scandal, basically, the summary of it is this. The National Service has number of people who come to do national service. Then they report the data to Parliament. Now, what they do is that the actual numbers that come to do national service, they pad it or they add on. And David, through that scheme, the nation lost 543.8 million cedis. That is 500 million cedis to that scandal alone. Now, one of the key suspects when it comes to this case is Gift Awari Mensah, who at a point acted as executive secretary for the authority, the National Service Authority, for about 6 months or so before the former KMA boss SCB went there. Now, what he did was that when he was acting as executive secretary, he incorporated a company called Blocks of Life. She Blocks of Life. And that company had board of directors because it's a prerequisite before you register a company, and made the husband the secretary of that company. Now, the Block of Life went to ADB to get a loan of 30.6 million cedis. How did they get the loan? They told the ADB that they are a vendor for the National Service. No National Service has vendors. So when you go to their website, there's something called Marketplace, where David acquired a company. So you can supply rice cookers to NSS personnel. Then the NSS will do the deduction and give it to you, David. So it's a kind of a marketing thing that they have there. Now, Gifty's company, the Block of Life, was actually not accredited by the National Service. So one, they didn't have the accreditation there. They were not even on the website according to the Attorney General, but went to ADB and told them that we are a company that works with the NSS, so give us the 30.6 million cedis. Now, the ADB wrote to the NSS that, indeed, is this person or this company working with you? I may not say company na acting executive director. And also you ni mom. You know mo na ye juma. Your champion, your couples ni wom. Then further submitted ghost names as potential customers she deals with. David, I don't know if you get it.
Yes, I do.
So there are two steps.
Yeah.
He gave authority.
How many ghost names did she put across?
Allegedly 9,934 or so.
So close to 10,000.
So close to 10,000. And these people were people, sometimes she forged the identities or even created it. So there's an element of fraud in there to buttress that and secure the loan. Now, she was paying the loan from the ghost names that she submitted. I don't know if you get it. So that was how she was paying for the loan. Say Ochenya ebosom na be check. Tianya me gini boom. Na me the bosom interest no etia. So that is the summary of the NSS scandal. The reason why I said
how much is her money and how much is that of ACB?
So there was no breakdown.
Because I know that ACB was some 8.2 or so million to his accounts.
Yes, so they track some account, but I'm saying that I don't know specifically how much went to them.
Okay.
But the fact I know is that we lost 500 million cedis to that criminal activity. Gift already took a loan from the ADB, 30.6 million cedis, backing the document with fake account. There were some vendors, and where the monies were paid to them, we don't really know the job they've done. So, for example, when you go through some of the vendors, some of them have 54 million. Let me just give you some of them. There's Marina Ventures, and allegedly, I'm told it's linked to a certain lady called Rose Hamilton. She had about 50.7 million. Many other vendors who
So
get
these
more,
are,
who got
these
money.
are things that
Yeah.
Oral is looking into.
Yeah.
And we hope
22
that,
of them actually when it
I'm
comes to
and
that
I'm
case.
hoping that we get to the bottom of this, because when I asked that question and your response was like, when matters are in court, it takes time. There are people of the view, for example, let me just mention this individual, Chema Wuntumi. There are people who are of the view that if care is not taken, it will become a foolish case.
Yeah.
You understand? And that's why I like the bit about speed.